the Cryptid Huntress. I'm Jessica Jones. Thank you guys so much for being here on this beautiful Thursday night. I have a really fantastic show set up for us tonight. I have remote viewed something that has been on television, on the internet for at least a year now, and it is the backyard aliens and the UFO crash, the alleged UFO crash out of Las Vegas with that family there in Las Vegas. So I did put a video. There is a news clip in the live chat tonight. If you guys want to scroll up to the top of that live chat, click on that. It's actually, I did not realize that George Knapp is a news broadcaster out of Las Vegas too. I know he's on Coast to Coast AM, but there's a news broadcast that he did, a special report for a local news broadcasting company there. And I did pin that there. It's got all the details. Everything's there. We're going to go over all of it tonight, though, including my data. So if you guys are interested in seeing all the raw remote viewing data, please go to my Patreon. That is the Cryptid Huntress over on Patreon. Let me pull up the banner here. Okay. And you're going to have all of my data there. Shout out to all my Patreon members. You guys rock. Thank you so much for all your support. Also, if you'd like to follow along with all of my shows, you can go to my website. If you want to find any kind of old shows in the archives or whatever, they're all there on my website, from Spaced Out Radio shows to all of my Glitch in the Matrix shows, remote viewing shows, and On the Hunt as well. So y'all go find those there. And yeah, that's where you can find me over there. Also, another place you can find me is this weekend, I'm going to be at the World UFO Conference up in Clayton, Georgia. So you guys come see me there. It's going to be an all-day event. It's actually just all day Saturday. Okay, I think there might be a reception Friday night, but I'll be there on Saturday up in Clayton. I will be talking about cryptid research and UFOs, and I'm going to be talking about some of these targets that I've done and some of these UFO and alien encounters here in the United States and all over the world. So it should be a really fun time. Brooks Agnew will be there, and Matthew Delph, Dr. John Stamey, and a bunch of other folks. Okay, so I can't wait to meet you guys, everybody that's coming. Okay, well, let's get to our show tonight, shall we? Okay, because I have Barry Littleton here. Who better to have on tonight than Barry Littleton? So we are going to really get into this the aliens in these people's backyard, alleged aliens. Okay, I'm going to just read you a quick overview before I bring Barry up. Okay, in April of 2023, a family in Las Vegas called the police to report the aliens had landed in their backyard. From that night, footage from that night shows that Angel Kenmore and several others walking into their yard, investigated and then fled after coming face to face with what they claim were extraterrestrials. And this is a quote from his 911 call. He said there's like an 8-foot person beside it and another one inside, because they thought a UFO had crashed in their backyard, by the way. It has big eyes and it's looking at us and it's still there. So the dispatcher says, so there are two subjects in your backyard. The dispatcher asked, correct, they're very large. They're like 8 foot, 9 foot, 10 foot. They look like aliens to us. Big eyes, like I can't explain it, and a big mouth. They're shiny eyes and they're human. Wait, they're 100% not human, is what he said. 100% not human. So with witnesses and police footage backing up their claims, both UFO experts and a crime scene expert launched their own investigations into the incident and recently came to the conclusion that the alien footage that has been shown is authentic in their opinions. Okay, so what is the real deal with this? Because a lot of people were saying it was a hoax. There was also another video put out of an alleged backyard alien, and I did put that in some of the promos for the show, but I knew that is it's actually a different alien. Okay, and it's a pretty convincing video too, by the way. But there's another alien video out as well, and I don't believe that's the same alien, y'all. Okay, but the authorities are saying that this is an actual real alien. Okay, and we're going to get into that tonight. This was given to me as a coordinate remote viewing target. I did remote view this, I don't know how many months ago. It's been several months ago. And so I've got the data tonight. I thought it was a great time to bring this one up. And I have Barry Littleton here to go over this with me. And Barry is a fantastic researcher, one of the most cutting edge researchers, an extraterrestrial experiencer. You guys can find him on his YouTube channel, Barry Littleton, and on his Patreon. So please help me welcome to the show tonight, my good friend, Barry Littleton.
Hey, what's up, Jessica? Hey, thank you for having me. I thought maybe I might be in trouble in these parts. Some people got really upset with me for not believing the Sasquatch snuff story, and for saying that asking if it was Big League Chew. So people got really upset. I got some messages about that. That's apparently a proven account that I don't know how, but there's evidence apparently. So I apologize for offending so many people on that. I still think it's an outrageous story, but hey, I'm good.
Well, we're going to talk about aliens tonight, and that's your forte. You're one of my go-to people for alien discussions, okay? Because you have experienced ETs, as I have as well, and this one is a really interesting story. Now, were you familiar with this Las Vegas backyard alien story?
Yes, and I got to be honest. This one I didn't think was as much of a hoax, and based on a couple of things, unless they do have these production companies that will do stuff like that, but this one was different, and for the get-go, when seeing the being itself, both illustrations of it struck me as demonic immediately. And then after that, I think the young man was saying that there was all this demonic stuff going on the property. So, there's that fine line between extraterrestrial, interdimensional / demon. You know what I mean? So yeah. I think that's something being observed here.
Oh yeah, it is. It's almost like a fine line with this case for sure, because like Dennis is in the chat. Hey Dennis Carroll says the family now claims it was demons instead of aliens, which is really interesting because the first time that this was reported, they were saying aliens. But I'm going to get into another interview that the teenage guy, Angel, did with the local news station. I think it was a year later, saying that their house, since this ET event happened, their house has been haunted, and it's by something very demonic. And it's from a Bible opening up and the pages turning slowly on their own to a crucifix flying into the air and turning upside down, and Jesus being ripped off of it. And he's not able to sleep anymore. He hasn't been able to focus, really. They've gotten a lot of attention. Their property keeps getting broken into, and it's been a nightmare for the family, according to that teenager, Barry.
That brings to mind that type of quote unquote haunting, possession type of thing. That brings to mind that book, A Deadly Haunting, by that woman. I think it's Helen Albrecht, and Dennis, he's in chat. We talked about that a few times, and that's one of those hauntings that was so severe, and that's something that entity tended to do, was turn the heads back on religious figurines and misplacing them and breaking them, and that's something that entity typically did. So that takes us again in that demonic fashion. And and the thing that I think that gave it the extraterrestrial ring is the fact that the light was seen crashing or something. Not a ship, but it was more of a light crashing. And I think that says some things about these different type of portals that can manifest here, and how some of them are more, anyway, you were saying something. Go on. I'll wait for that.
Oh yeah. Well, I remember when this first came out, and it was in the news, and I remember seeing it, and I thought, man, it's so suspicious, because it just seemed as though I want to say we were fresh off the mall aliens incident. I don't remember how soon or later after this it was, or before it, but we were doing the highly anticipated. I was looking forward to the highly anticipated alien invasion. Okay, the fake alien invasion, Barry, that you love. And so of course I'm sitting here. A lot of us are sitting here waiting for the beginning. of it, right? And what better way than to have some police officers and everybody kind of involved in some kind of weird, psyop or something. And okay, so I'm going to explain why I got a Bart Simpson shirt tonight. Okay, I wore this in honor of me not trusting that kid because he had on a Simpsons sweatshirt. Okay, I remember he had on like a black and white checkerboard hoodie, and it had the Simpsons on it, and I was like, man, this is it. People were saying it online, like this is a psyop. He's got on this checkerboard hoodie with the Simpsons on it, and they're always predicting the future.
You bring me up to date here. You're out of my league here. So the Simpsons is satanic. Is that immediately connected, or is that what's going on here?
Well, okay, the Simpsons are interesting. Okay, the Simpsons are interesting, Barry, because they predict the future. Okay, and it's either they're predicting the future or it's future predictive programming in some way, right? And this guy right here. Well, let me take that comment down. This guy, this is Angel. Okay, and he's a teenager, and he went online and did, I think this was on TikTok or something. He did a little video. And it's very suspicious because a lot of people say, that's the checkered board has symbolism to it, to being something that have to do with Freemasonry or the Illuminati, and it just had all of the workings of a good psyop. Okay, so that's what that is. Now the Simpsons, Barry, have been known to, like I said, predict the future, or maybe it's already scripted and they're just putting it out there. Like even with 9/11, okay, they even had elements of that in their shows. Okay, and like presidential, I just want to say like little vignettes that came true in the future that they showed back in the 1990s.
So basically, if that was me on there and I was reporting that and I had on a Spider-Man shirt with him on like a disco ground or something background, it would be the same thing, because in Spider-Man the animated series, which was before the Simpsons, they had that on there too. They had 9/11 on there and other things that were predictive.
Yes.
So if he's wearing a Spider-Man shirt, people would say the same thing, right? I mean, I'm just curious. I sometimes it's hard for me to tell where all this stuff begins and ends. Not saying it's not true or real, but it gets so deep sometimes, this whole dark thing, and I get burned out on it.
Oh man, I just see patterns. Okay, I talk about patterns all the time now. Okay, because we see so many patterns, and the Simpsons is just it's a little sus. Okay, a little suspicious. So, but I did wear my Bart Simpson Hawaiian shirt just to memorialize me, because I remember, like, memorialize me sounds bad, just in honor of Angel and his hoodie. Okay, because that is actually what set me off to think, well, this is probably, it could be made up. Okay, when I saw that, and I don't know, maybe I just jumped on a bandwagon or something. But then I was given this target eventually, and now I'm looking at it a little different, because I do believe something did happen, and I do believe that he believes that he saw something out there. Okay, he believes he saw something out there. Now, let's get into what we're talking about tonight, shall we? Okay, and yeah, Brian from Montauk is Strange says, I would even say Simpson seems to have better results than Nostradamus. Okay, that's a good point, Brian. Thank you for being here. Yes, definitely predicts things that it blows your mind. Okay, to blow your mind. It doesn't make sense, actually, but yes, they mastered that mirror, probably Project Looking Glass or something. You know what I mean? Oops. Okay, and all right, thank you, Larry, for that super sticker. I appreciate you. Ask the Simpsons. Okay, so let's go. Okay, like I said, I put some news broadcasts in the live chat tonight for anybody who just came in. You can scroll up to the top. It's a report that George Knapp made on a local news station, Channel 8, I think, out of Las Vegas. Okay, so y'all go check that out at your leisure if you want. But so here's the thing. Angel Kenmore and his family saw something fall from the sky, like a meteorite or a meteor, and it crashed into their backyard. Okay. There's actual body cam footage that a police officer had that where you can see where he's talking to some people, and you can see this, it looks like a fireball falls out of the sky, Barry. And they didn't know where it went. They didn't know where it landed. But a few minutes later, they got a frantic phone call from Angel. the teenager and his family, calling 911. He said that something landed and crashed in his family's backyard. Non-human or not, it definitely scared his family. They said that I read the quote that he said to the dispatcher, but he said 2 very large non-human entities were in their backyard. They looked like aliens. They weren't 100% human. Okay, so the officers responded. They had body cams. They said that they had also seen something that night. Okay, and the dispatcher didn't know whether to send a counselor over there to take care of him, to do like a mental health check, or if they should send officers over there. But the officers had seen something go down in the sky too. Okay, so they were curious. So they went over there to check it out. Angel called 911. They got to the house. The cops got into the house. They walked into the backyard. Officers asked other people on the street if they had seen something fall from the sky. There was no concrete answers to what it was. They even kind of joked around with Angel and his family when they were leaving about, hey, if these 9-foot tall creatures come out, y'all deal with them. Don't call us. Okay, because they were kind of freaked out about it too. Now, whatever it was, okay, the officers thought, well, it could have been a meteor falling, a meteorite. They also knew that there are military bases in the area. Okay, this is around near Area 51. Okay, Dulles Air Force Base, I guess, or so they thought, but they claimed that they were not involved with any of this. Okay.
Now, question: I didn't ever hear anything about anything being damaged by this falling thing. Did you ever hear any damage anywhere?
No,
Their
no.
yard or anywhere else?
Well, they said it fell in their backyard. Okay, but there's there was some confusion over whether it fell in their backyard, that fireball actually fell in their yard, or if it was something else that fell in their yard. It could have been 2 separate incidents. Okay. Now, the day after, there was a global response to it. It was very similar to like what sounded like a UFO crash. Ring cameras had picked up this fireball falling from the sky too. And here's the thing: Angel said that his family had, when the thing fell on the ground, he said that he and his dad or his uncle, whoever was out there with them, they saw where it fell, but it was a blurry spot in the yard. Okay, a blurry spot. He said it wasn't their eyes. He said it was literally blurry. And he said it was almost like his vision couldn't pick it up. His eyes were fine, but it was almost like it had tried to camouflage itself. It was like it tried to camouflage itself. Okay, and so that's when he frantically called 911, because he was like, there's something totally weird about it. So let me tell you, George Knapp, on that video that I sent you guys. So George Knapp, we love him from Coast to Coast AM, right? These are some of the things that he said were in the police report, Barry. Okay, I'm going to read these off. I'm having some issues with my camera tonight. So, okay, he said, according to Angel and his family, they heard footsteps pattering on the ground outside. And then later that night, they heard footsteps on the roof of their house. He said that he saw they said 8-foot tall creatures crawl on a front loader. That's a piece of construction equipment. In the backyard, is something they had stored in their backyard, as if it was trying to engage it, like turn it on and drive it. He said he looked at one of them. It was greenish, grayish, and it had large eyes. And when he locked eyes with it, Barry, he was frozen in place and he couldn't move. He said it was like it hypnotized him. Okay, he said there's a circular impression in the yard. I'm gonna pull this up because I actually have a picture of it. There's a circular impression. I can find it. Here it is. This is a circular impression in the yard. In the soil where the vehicle landed. Okay, whatever crashed, he said so it wasn't actually a crash, it just landed, according to them. All right. So even though he said crash, that's where it landed. And you can clearly see some kind of circular weird pattern right there. Mm-hmm. Okay. So like I said, the dispatcher thought that they needed to send a crisis helper over to see him, but then they ended up sending they dispatched the gentleman over there. 2 officers arrived about 38 minutes after he made the call. Two Metro sergeants returned to the scene later to follow up with the family. And the family said they had been seeing men wearing suits and sunglasses cruising up and down their street in the days that followed this with government license plates on their trucks and on their vehicles. The military bases have denied any involvement, and there were surveillance cameras in the backyard, but the moment of the crash, and right when it crashed, they glitched out. Okay, so that's what the family said. They said their camera actually really glitched out, which is interesting because a neighbor said that when whatever crashed, his television went out and his cameras glitched, and he was having all sorts of weird interference with his lights in his house. His lights were flickering. Okay, so lots of odd things going on here. Okay, lots of odd things. Now, a video tech expert, I guess, some kind of video tech expert, said that this thing is definitely real, Barry. Okay, he said this is definitely real. According to him, apparently there were some UFO experts that had looked into this and done a lot of investigating on it. So let me tell you what this video expert said about it. He said, I'm gonna pull up some pictures as I talk about this, because I just uploaded these, and this is from a news broadcast that I watched. I took some screenshots. Okay, and this is from News Nation. Okay, I want to give them credit. That's News Nation. Okay, so because there's a video of these gentlemen all walking back in their backyard. This is a video phone, camera phone video. And as they're walking into this backyard, they get startled by something and they take off running back towards the cameraman. All right, well, you would think that they got startled by something in front of them because they were looking ahead and they got scared and they ran out. But in the video, if you watch it, if you watch the full video, and you guys find the video on, go to News Nation on YouTube, okay, and go to this video, you can see something walking, okay, along onto the right side of the fence, okay, and its head is above the fence. That's probably what, a 6-foot fence, I guess. And they actually recreate what this is. It's like it looks like an alien, okay, and here it is, like the body right there that I'm showing right now. That's like a computer generated image of what the being is. Now you can see its head at the very top, peeking over that fence. Okay, so I'm going to keep that up there while I talk about it. He said the way that the light is shining in the yard, this could be anything, right? But this, whatever this is, it was a shadowy figure within a shadow, and he thinks that it was cloaking. Okay, cloaking. It could be anything. As they walk in the gate, something startles them to the right. They all run out. They think it's, and they think, right, look at this video, thinks that it's genuine. They were genuinely scared. It looks like they were startled by something ahead of them, but they don't notice the creature to the right. They were saying that, oh, here it is. It doesn't have full opacity. Okay, this guy was talking about opacity. And I'm thinking opaque, is that what the root word? I don't know. But opacity. Okay, so it's not fully formed. It hasn't fully manifested or something, Barry. So it's like it's only at 30% manifestation or 30% solidity. Okay, and so it's manifesting or cloaking, according to these experts that have looked at this video. It's cloaking itself in the people there and the camera. It says minimizing itself from being seen. We're unable to see it within the shadow. Okay, so these people have done research on this. They know about opacity. Look that word up. Okay, opacity. They said it's only at 30%. Okay, and the way they were describing it was that it was cloaking or it was cloaked. Okay, or it was manifested or manifesting or demanifesting or unmanifesting, right? I mean, what do you think about that?
One is, first you got those reverse knees. That's insectoid type of body part there. Number two, there was a movie years ago, since people get mad I use movie references, but there was one back in the 90s. It was the original movie called The Arrival with Charlie Sheen. Not the remake, but the original one. In fact, there were two of them. But in that movie, those beings had reverse knees similar to that, which is also a characteristic said about some of the beings that are of the black praying mantis hybrids, that they have knees similar to that. So that's one thing, and it could be represent insectoid, of course, alien, but to me, it's representing something demonic. You know, I mean, that's very easily some type of a demonic attribute also.
Wow, it could be. Yeah, really interesting though, right? I mean, they claimed they had seen something crash in their yard. It looked like it was cloaking. They thought it was a UFO. Okay, and then they saw these two creatures, and that was apparently one of them. That one looks very shadowy and dark. Okay.
You know, this is near Air Force Base, you said, and
Yes.
you know that makes me very, very. What's the word you use? Sus. It's very sus.
Suspicious.
Yeah, but you know the thing is, because what I'm seeing explained here is, one is this being is using some type of a cloaking metamaterials. You've got this craft, to me, which sounds like it was partially organic, actually, but nonetheless, you're dealing with some type of organic components of metamaterial. The way it's partially cloaking, and also the reflective surface of it. All these things, and also something else implies it's dealing with this life energy, aka people call it orgone a lot because Wilhelm Reich did. But this type of life energy that uses a lot of these, the energy source for a lot of these craft, I've been aboard. But when you know they get close to electric, these orgone ships, and the propulsion has a disruptive effect on electronics.
Okay.
And that's a lot of times what you're seeing happening there, even to a point of where I'll say this, you know, when you look at some of those pictures that are like 1960s and 50s, you see some of those craft, these discs underneath them, they have these huge black voids. And that's because that tells me it's a real craft, real picture, because something about the orgone field being generated underneath that craft causes a black void on film emulsions. So that tells you something about those old pictures, which one's real or not. Look to see. There's even one picture that is a, God, I want to say it's over the Korean Sea, 1960 something, but it's a metal craft, and you can see this void craft, the void underneath it, the black void, and you can see it start of it on the side of it too, starting to move. That's when they activate that gravity modification field. I don't even want to say anti-gravity. Gravity modification field, they release that around the skin of the ship. You can see that happening in that craft and in that picture. So these are things just to be aware of when dealing with some of these technologies. But that sounded to me like something that could very well be something that's, whatever word we want to use, the G-force, that's the bases there, and something they're doing, some sort of creatures they're dealing with, some part of this demonic activity. It's something, you know.
Yeah, it's something.
But those are technologies that I keep wanting to say that word is going to get you in trouble. But the word, the big brother, technology's big brother definitely has, and it was reversed engineering for decades now. So
yeah. Well, okay. Well, we had some federal employees put their 2 cents in. Okay, so actually, this gentleman that I had up on the screen. Okay, this is actually Ben Hansen, and he said he's a former federal agent and a UFO expert. Okay, according to this news channel, he said it was difficult to find the raw video of this happening. Okay, of this video right here that they're showing for a while, but he's analyzed it. It has been analyzed. He didn't pick up anything being edited on it. He said that there was a shadow behind the fence, and then you see the head at the top of the fence. He said that it could be a jump to say that it was something cloaking, and that means, by that he means it could be stretching it, is what he said. He said the way the light's shining in the yard, it could absolutely be anything, but they think it's genuine. Okay, now he also brought up a phrase that I think is interesting. He said confirmation bias. He said in the original event, he said there's an original event, the bright object is streaking through the sky. So everybody was assuming it could be an alien or a UFO. Because of that, whatever was seen streaking through the sky, the police officer saw it, people in the community saw it. And so it's just like what I always say, like when you're out there looking for Bigfoot, you don't have a very open mind, you're looking for Bigfoot, everything's going to be a Bigfoot. Okay, so it's like, well, they're just going to assume whatever just fell from the sky is going to be an alien. Okay, so aliens are going to be out there. So he said that you got to take that into fact into as a factor, okay? That there's going to be a confirmation bias, okay, by everybody that was out there talking about it, working on it, family. But there is definitely something in that video. And thank you, Lucius the Werewolf. I appreciate that super sticker. Thank you. But there's something there. Okay, so nonetheless, you know, I remote view this, but before we talk about the data, Barry, I want to go over the another updated interview that the teenager did, talking about the paranormal activity in his house. Okay, and so this is a year later. This was recent. Okay, I mentioned the Bible flipping pages on its own. I mentioned the crucifix levitating in the air. He said an upside down cross with the Jesus on it ripped off. It was turned upside down. It was floating in the air. Eventually, it fell to the ground. He said priests came to their house. And now it's back to normal, is what he said. He didn't specify what the priest did, but I'm assuming it was kind of a blessing or an exorcism or something. That's just me assuming, okay? But he now thinks, like Dennis said, he now thinks that the aliens were actually demons because their house has had such a dark energy there ever since. He said he's been traumatized. He cries a lot. He said every time he thinks about it, he cries because it had been so traumatic. He has flashbacks, and it was not a good experience for anybody in his entire family. They're all planning to move. Okay, they're planning to move. They don't want to live there anymore. He said, like I said, the neighbor said his TV, his surveillance camera, and the lights on his house all glitched out and were shutting off that night that the incident happened. Okay, so that happens. Oh, and their house keeps getting broken into. Okay, so people keep trespassing. They have no trespassing signs all over the place, and people will just keep breaking into their property there. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, oh, he also said that the thing was huffing and growling at him, Barry. Okay, and it's not funny. It's really sad, actually, but I forgot to say that earlier. Angel said that the alien that they encountered was huffing and growling. Now, I've never heard an alien huff and growl, but I mean, I've experienced at least 3. Have you ever heard an alien huff and growl? Asking. Is that common?
No, I mean, not especially, you know, I mean, it goes all ways, I guess, but that's, again, more of a demonic type of a thing, you know, animalistic demonic thing. I can't help but notice something, and there's all this talk of, I'll get myself in trouble.
Is it
all
dark?
this talk of the tall whites that I think is a drag. But first of all, I have something to say. A question. Who says those are tall whites you just put up there? Where that shadow? One is I've never once seen the tall whites described as having a double jointed reverse knee, ever. But I have heard that about the tall melanin dominant black praying mantis hybrids. Now I've heard about that about them. And then moving, I've talked about that several things. I think that we need to try to keep this separate because the fields of ufology and these groups, they're tripped out. Linda Moulton Howe tripped out on the tall whites. Like that's just the beginning of this. When you've got really, what is it, Charles? What's the name that talks about that a lot? I think we just got to keep this a little more diverse than that.
Okay. Well, I never said anything about tall whites. I never said anything about it.
It's just I keep seeing it popping up in the chat. I looked over there, a mistake, and then you put it up there. So I just want to put that. Not that it's even necessarily wrong, but I'm challenging that a little bit because I've heard that about melanin dominant beings, but not the tall whites that everybody else is fixated on in these groups and in the media. Okay.
Okay. Well, I'm not bringing any kind of color or anything into any of these aliens, okay? Because I don't know. They're all just aliens to me, to be honest. But this, okay, so here's the thing. We were talking about the mantis.
It matters,
okay,
though. It does matter. It matters.
Okay. Well, it does matter, I suppose. Okay, so, but here's where you're talking about like the mantis thing, right? Because I've actually experienced one in real life. Okay, and so this is the video. I wanted to show everybody these pictures because this is getting kind of cross-referenced with this incident. And so people are thinking that this is the actual video, and this says leaked video on here of the backyard Las Vegas alien. Okay, the backyard Las Vegas alien.
Okay, question.
That's a creepy video.
Question, is that one not real? That's the one I had always seen. Is that not real or not supposed to be not real? And it's the other one or what? I'm trying to understand.
No, this is not the real one. Okay, this is what people are assuming is that alien, and it has been leaked. They're saying it's leaked out that that's the actual alien. Okay, but I don't believe that's the actual. I don't believe that's the alien. Okay, I'm not going to say it's been debunked by any means, and I have remote viewed the actual backyard alien. Okay, the backyard aliens. That was the target. Okay, so we're going to find out. Okay, we're going to find out tonight. We're going to talk about the data. Okay.
Yeah, let me say, you sent me that data. I only saw it about an hour before the show, and it's pretty. That's a trip. It's
yes.
really good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really odd. It kind of puts a cool spin on everything, right? It's it kind of goes along with stuff that now the whole story's out and the guy has come back and done an update. Data makes more sense now. Okay, it makes a little more sense. But let's see if there's anything else I wanted to go over.
I'm being challenged. I'm being challenged in the chat. You prove it. Prove that you have encountered any of them. I mean, show. Don't just say that. Show the evidence. How, when, where. How do you know? Why are you in such communication with them? That to me sounds like a bold statement without evidence. I need evidence. I need something more substantiable than that. So go ahead with what you were saying. I'm just saying that because people want to challenge me on some things. I'm not here to be liked, okay? But I am a contactee, a real one. And I will challenge some things I hear from people to just throw that out, okay? So anyway, go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry, I'm not going to take any crap from people.
Okay. I'm just telling Mary, you might want to turn your chat off
I didn't say the tall whites had it. I said that the praying mantis beings have that from the black praying mantis hybrids. That's been reported by many by contactees. That's what I was talking about. And the other is the picture that they say was the real one from the alien there. Look at the knees on that. It's insectoid. It's not just me. It's what it is. So anyway, go ahead, my friend. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Okay. I'm going to have you turn your chat off in a second.
I'm not looking over there again. I'm not looking over there for stupidity. I will not look at stupidity anymore. I apologize. I won't do that again.
Okay. Let's be nice. Okay.
I'm not a nice guy, Jessica.
Okay. Yeah, you are.
Go ahead, though. I'll just tease you.
Okay. So I don't know. Let's just get into the data. I'm just going to hurry this up now. Okay, here we go. Let's get into the data. Okay, so with the data, okay, I have several pages of data here on what this is. Okay, and let's just dive right in. Okay, because I was picking up on the first thing I heard when I got into this target. I heard futile. Okay, futile, and after I was like doing some like looking into this and like figuring out what this was. I was thinking like I heard your efforts are futile. That's how you say it. And I started thinking of like Marvin the Martian or something. I don't know where that came from. That quote, right? But it sounded like something like, was it Star Trek?
The Borg. They say that resistance is futile, and that kind of implies a hive mind thing. So that's interesting.
Oh, that's weird. Okay, because that's what I heard. I actually wrote that down. All right. And I was getting something that I felt closed in. I was observant. I wrote down tested. I was picking up on like a lot of motor data. Like I wrote motor mouth, motor city, which is interesting because those guys said they were working on their truck. Okay, they were working on a truck when all that happened in the backyard. And this is not just like a regular backyard. It looks like a gigantic backyard. Okay, it looks like almost like an industrial backyard. You see the front loader over there, actually. You see the front loader over to the far right. Okay, it looks like an RV or a camper. That's a big yard. Okay, so they were working in this back. It's like a work area. Okay, back there. So I picked up and I wrote down. I wrote Portishead. That's a band, I think. But I wrote down head gasket and gasket head. Okay, so maybe they were working on that. Okay, and then I started hearing a song. I started hearing that song that's on TikToks. It's like Tiptoe Through the Tulips. Okay, Tiptoe Through the Tulips. And I wrote down Little Timmy. I think that was the name of the guy that sang that song. Okay, so Tiptoe Through the Tulips. And then I was picking up a barrage. I wrote down barrage of activity. Okay, a barrage of activity. And this is interesting because I wrote down interdimensional and portal. Okay, interdimensional and portal, Barry.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Is
that
that
picture,
interesting?
man, that picture, anyway, I will keep going. That's
Okay,
true.
so
Yeah, that's good.
yes. So interdimensional and portal. And then I heard a walk through, and I was hearing in and out. I was getting a lot of like in and out data, like jumping in and out, like almost in and out of this reality or something. Okay, like it's in and out. I wrote down Houdini. Okay, Houdini. But I kept picking up on something that was, I just kept feeling like I was closed in, like I was trapped, or I was like in a closed in space. I picked up on grass and gravel, and I felt like I was in a yard. I wrote down a yard. I wrote down fence. I actually wrote down I wrote down fenced in because I felt like I was kind of trapped. Then I got in some weird, interesting data here because I wrote conjured. Okay, now Dennis is in the chat. He and I were just talking about conjured cryptids. Okay, we just talked about that this past week, maybe yesterday. Okay, conjured cryptids, but I wrote down conjured, demonic, ghost, religious, and I got some data that deals with the Bible as well. I didn't mean to pull that back up. I got some like biblical kind of like data, but I also wrote down ritual, Santeria, Santa Muerta, or I wrote down Santa Morta, and I didn't know what that was. Okay, so Santa Morta, I actually looked it up. Huh?
What is it? I don't know.
Well, I'll read it. Santa Muerte, because I wrote Santa Morta, that's what I thought I was hearing. Santa Muerte is a female deity and spiritual icon said to be a personification of death. It is now a religious movement, female deity and folk saint in Mexican and folk and Catholicism and neo-paganism, originating in Mexican folk Catholicism. Sorry. Santa Muerte has grown in recent years, driven by social media, immigration, and some people's aspiration with the Catholic Church, or exasperation, excuse me, of the Catholic. That's what that was on. That's on Wikipedia, y'all. Okay, I didn't just come
Man, that gave me a really bad feeling when you were reading that. And you know what I can't help but think about a little bit is the target with the missing 411 and how you first kept telling me that you thought you were under the Vatican.
Yeah.
You didn't know what you were looking at, but you kept saying that. Yeah. Is this under the Vatican?
Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting.
Ooh, oh man, you got my brain working overtime now. Yeah. There's just so many connections, right? This is weird. Okay, but I wrote down. So I was getting all this information. Like I was pulling down like Santa Morta. I wrote Santa Morta, even though that's not the right word. Day of the Dead, Night of the Living Dead. I wrote, and then I started writing down data that had to do with gangs and gang activity. Okay, and I actually wrote down voodoo. No, I wrote down voodoo. And this is all over those aliens that crashed in somebody's backyard, allegedly, right? But this was I thought I was looking at like some kind of weird voodoo scene, like ghosts and interdimensional dark stuff. Okay, that was pretty much conjured by ritual practices. Okay, and now is that really far-fetched? Do you think? I mean, because here's the thing. The last thing that I heard was "Get Out," and then I wrote down "haunted location." Okay, whatever I was remote viewing was haunted. I didn't want to be there anymore. It was super dark. I didn't like it. But it had to do, I was getting an uneasy, gross, not good feeling, I wrote down. And I just heard "Get Out." And I shut the target down just shortly after that, because it was kind of dark. And I was picking up on a lot of like, I wrote down gangs, but voodoo type stuff. That's how I was interpreting what I was seeing. Okay. Rituals.
That's so yeah. I knew this was going to be the light show or the love and light deal with these beings. But right. I think it brings up what you'd mentioned, Dennis, mentioning recently, and that's about the conjured up beings and these beings that can actually be conjured to protect property and brought up from the land itself and through intention of dark forces. And then you've got something else. You've got the past cycle that was here. You've got a type of whatever you want to call them, sorcerers, if you want, that actually control inorganic beings by giving them certain amounts of emotions and feeding them emotions. And they do these things such as hold these beings in certain contraptions that would be like nuts, sometimes crystals, sometimes boxes, using the Casimir effect. And that's very serious when you have these individuals that know how to manipulate those type of inorganic beings by giving them negative emotions. They know how to actually summon them up to both guard property and attack people, So it's and everything you're saying here is connecting to that. So,
yeah. Well, they do have property to protect. Okay, they do have an industrial something going on back there with front loaders and RVs and whatever. I don't know what kind of business their family runs. I have no idea. Okay, but I'm not saying this is what they did, but this was all in the remote viewing data. Okay.
I guarantee you
I think it's
they don't work for the Boy Scouts.
Talk about it. Well, I don't know what they do. Okay, it's none of my business. All right, but that was just in the data. I'm only reporting on data. Okay, so I'm not sure.
I'm only speaking of the property itself. Something's wrong.
Something's off. That's Santa Muerta right there. Okay, that gives you any idea of what we're dealing with there.
Looks like the Grim Reaper, right?
The Grim Reaper, but a female. Yes. Yeah, for sure.
You know what's interesting is that the Grim Reaper is often described as being a mantid underneath the hood and everything. And that's why I always ask you when you had an experience. I don't want to speak on your part, but didn't you have an experience with the mantid that it was in a hood? I never released that video that I sent you, the Grim Reaper / mantid connection, but I never actually released it publicly. But I remember you saying something that made me want to send you that video. So
yeah, I'm trying. Oh God. Where'd I go? Okay, sorry. I'm having some video problems tonight. Okay, so I was trying to find the picture. I actually have my drawing of that, and yes, it was a mantid type ET experience. It's here somewhere. Hold on one second. Let me grab it. I'm gonna take this. I'm gonna hold on. I can probably grab it right here. It's here somewhere. I hope y'all can hear me still, even though I just went. Okay. I don't know. Oh, here it is. Okay, I'm just going to hold it up. Okay, I'm going to hold it up so everybody can see it. Let me put this down. So this is the picture. I had to redraw it because my pencil drawing got faded because this happened 7 years ago. I want to say about 7 years ago. And so I had to like redraw it. But this is what I saw. Okay. So this is, I woke up to what looked like a Grim Reaper crouched down over my bed when its hands were like that. Okay, and that's me, and my son was laying in the bed beside me. Okay, so but that's the picture. Okay, so this is what I saw. I always draw what I see. Okay, whenever I have an experience like that. This thing was as tall as my ceiling, and I had a very tall ceiling in that bedroom. It was a very tall ceiling. But I woke up and I thought it was a Grim Reaper. Okay, I didn't think I was dying, but I was like, okay, there's something in a black hood, and I couldn't see its face. Okay, but you're right. A lot of the mantid sightings or the experiences actually, people think it's the Grim Reaper, and I've experienced it personally. And that's exactly what it looks like. But its hands were up like this. So here's the thing. So its hands. So this is when I saw this video here of this that looks like it looked like a mantid being. Okay, it looked like a praying mantis or something, like a mantis, because the hands. Okay, it's the hand. It was the hands for me. Okay, see the hand?
Yeah.
Like that. That's exactly what I saw. That thing that was standing by my bed had hands exactly like that. Exactly. And if you guys want to see that one more time, that's what I drew. Okay, that's what I drew. That's exactly what I saw.
And that's actually somewhat common. And that even goes to the point of people saying that they've seen some of these beings that are actually some of these mantids that are like, around nearly 20 feet tall, and they're huge. And those are the ones that are communicating to the experiencer that they're old, and that they actually seed solar systems and then oversee them. And that takes to something. That video I did, I talked about something. Another video with that Uranta book talks about a class of beings called life carriers that actually go to other planets and start the animal amino acids and do that whole thing. But they don't talk about what different incarnation physical containers or containers of consciousness these life carriers have, and how many stages they go through. Is one of these stages possibly the giant praying mantis that's actually helped seed solar systems, like these things are saying? This is food for thought I'm throwing out. That's all. Because the being I encountered was not like what you did, and it was not a mantid, but it was an insectoid. But that's interesting. I mean, I'm trying to think. It was not Linda Porter, the guy's name that he's got a drawing. It almost looks like yours. I mean, it's very interesting. Yeah.
Wow.
What was that guy's name? Sorry, it's on the tip of my mind, but I can't remember. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, I've actually experienced one of those before. Okay, so
did it generate fear? Did it generate fear?
No.
Really?
No. Listen, but I'm the cryptid huntress. I don't get scared very easily. Okay.
So you don't think it was looshing you up? Isn't that the name word? Loose.
No.
Loose.
Yeah.
Loosh.
No, I don't think it was looshing me up at all. It was not looshing me up. Yeah. That sounds terrible. Don't try to loosh me up, buddy.
Sorry.
Born to loosh. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. That is so weird. Yeah. So no, it didn't feel bad. It just felt it was out of place, and I was like, okay, well, I was just trying to wrap my head around why it was in my room. Okay, and I didn't feel threatened by it, but I was also paralyzed. Okay, so like that it was like sleep paralysis kind of, but I had some mind control techniques that I was using to see if I was actually awake, and I was actually awake. I was definitely awake, and I was able to start moving. And when I started moving, I fell asleep and went straight to sleep. And I started having dreams about being in the Wizard of Oz with the Munchkins. And I was beating up their mayor, and I got in trouble for beating up their mayor. Yeah, so that was weird.
They'll start me on the Mandela effect and the Wizard of Oz. Do you ever remember the Scarecrow having a gun? In that movie?
I guess no, he didn't in a movie, but he does now.
He did. There's pictures of him with a gun. But they say it's the Mandela effect, a time edit. Anyway, but back to the other. Hey, question: How tall was this mantid that you saw? If you put a height on it,
at least 8 feet. At least, yeah, about 8 feet. Maybe more. Yeah, and that's interesting because that's what they said that this was. He said it was about 8 feet. That's in the police report. He was saying to 911 it was like 10 feet. Okay, 9 or 10 feet. I would say the one I saw, because my ceiling, it was actually, okay, so it was like a regular size ceiling. I'm going to say it was around 8 feet tall, and then it went higher in the middle, kind of. Okay, and so it was like right there at the lowest part of my ceiling. But I'm going to say that was at least 8 feet, and it was hunched over. Okay, it looked like it was hunched over, like it was trying to fit its head underneath the ceiling. Okay, and that's why I drew it like that. You can see it's hunched. See its back? Yeah. It's hunched over. Okay, because it couldn't fit. All right, that's how tall that was. Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that.
For sure. God, yeah, I don't share that often at all.
I can't remember that gentleman's name, and he's got a picture. If I put it up, it looks so much like that one you just showed. That's really a trip. And there's something you see that comes up again and again in the abduction experience or scenario, and it's fascinating. It really is. And when getting to this, and I think maybe even cross-referencing this with some of the other mini targets that we've done over extraterrestrials. And some of the negative things that have come up, I don't dust over that. But finish the data, though. We'll talk about that later.
The data is done. Okay, so I went over most of the data here, and it was my conclusion. My analysis of this data is that, I think it was something other than an ET, actually. Okay, I really do. I think in the beginning, with some of my sensory data, there was there was definitely something that felt like it felt like kind of trapped, but there was something that was interdimensional. Okay, now I through all this research that we've done, I don't believe that UFOs are coming out of outer space anymore. I think they're coming through portals. Okay, and I picked up on a portal and interdimensional. So whether this is an extraterrestrial, I don't know. Something came through I picked up on something that was interdimensional and portal. Came through a portal. Okay. Now I'm not saying something didn't, crash in their backyard. Maybe it crashed through, came out of a portal in the sky. I mean, I don't know.
Hey, will you show the picture
Of what?
With the data?
Of the data? Like, oh,
That's
the picture?
That's
Oh,
what the
this
picture
picture.
is it not? Look at
Oh,
that. See, that's the first thing that hit me. And we start dealing with
stage
some
3.
of these beings that they do just walk through these portals like that.
Yeah.
It happens quite a bit, and sometimes they may appear to be ships, but we don't know when that they're trying to weaponize some of these portals and things like that. Where does that begin and end? With what that thing was attached to. You know what I mean? I find it very interesting that kid that you put up, he said that they just disappeared, and not that they ran off. They said that those beings just disappeared, like right in front of their faces, virtually, right?
Mm-hmm.
That implies that it would be either A, holographic, which I don't think so, the way he said it was breathing and growling, or B, you're dealing with some type of a portal, interdimensional material, almost transporter type of technology. That's what it sounds like to me. And I don't put that. I think that's human capability a lot. And you deal with the fact that they're summoning these things or whatever, conjuring, as you said. I just think it's all connected. It's just dark and really nasty. But I guess it is what it is,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, hey, I mean, this is a great way for us to look into it. The remote viewing. I mean, we're from what a lot of people think about this incident. When they think of the Las Vegas aliens in the people's backyard, they're thinking of this right here. Okay, and that does look like a mantis head. It does look real. I think that's probably AI generated. Okay, I think that's an AI generated thing. Of course, this is leaked. I found this online. Okay, I found this online. Somebody had put that out like, oh, the government's leaking information. We got this off of the dark web or something, and I think that's just kind of AI generated. I did put something up on TikTok, and somebody made a comment. I was checking my TikTok right before. I guess I have a TikTok, y'all, by the way. If y'all want to go follow me, it's the Cryptid Huntress. I occasionally put up videos and stuff. But somebody had posted. I mean, there were several people that are like, "That's fake," it's fake. and I was like, "Okay, well, watch the show. We'll talk about it." Okay, whatever. They're like,
sometimes
"It's fake."
these new AI pictures and stuff. Sometimes it's hard to tell. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'll tell you what they got me years ago. The one of the melanin dominant black lion. That one got me. I thought that one was real. That was years ago now, but I got taken on that one. Can't get them all right.
Yeah. Well, that video is very convincing, by the way. And the neck on it, if you watch that video, the neck of that thing, and the way it moves. See, here's another thing. It's weird because that's the way this thing moved. Okay, that's how I describe this thing moving. And so when you watch that video, it's pretty convincing to me because I've actually seen a mantis being in my room and it moved like that. And I've always described it from the very beginning, from the very first time it happened. I said it moved just like that video of that one. It moved just like it. So somebody either has a really good knowledge of what those things look like and the way they move, or maybe it's real. Okay, maybe that is a real video.
A comment you put up just a minute ago mentioned that a lot of these beings can't survive the vibration here. That is accurate. But we could even call it, as they called it to me, densities. They have a problem with the density. I've been on a craft that I've mentioned before that actually got illustrations of that actually generated its own portals and then was able to choose the path of most coherency to the universe it's going to, or whatever destination. Okay, so that is something that takes it kind of a step beyond when dealing with what we're dealing with, sentient beings, sentient craft, and I start thinking even more about, so some of these things I would see on this craft, like jump into these wormholes and then come back out on the other side of the room. These things are open and closing, these portals all over this room. And they don't quite look like what we hear portals looking like. To me, they look like distortions, okay? Circular distortions. And I'm getting from these light beings that, that we're like fish out of water in your density, and they can get trapped here. So it's things like that we have to be aware we're dealing with these different containers of consciousness and different life forms, whether they be condensed light, plasma.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, okay. And that's another thing that Angel had said, that whatever crashed in their backyard. And when you say crash, okay, this is what doesn't really add up for me right here too, because it's kind of weird, because that doesn't look like a crash site. It looks like a landing site, if anything.
Yeah.
Right? There's no explosion. There's no splatter or whatever. There's nothing that would show right there that anything crashed. It just looks like, if anything, it was a landing site. I mean, I don't know. That's just,
to me, it almost looks like a basketball when you drop it in the sand or something, or in the dirt. At least
okay,
a pattern
like,
similar to that. Just reminds me of that for some reason.
Okay, well here's another thing. We say craft. Okay, we say like a UFO, whatever. Who's to say it wasn't like an orb? And these aliens weren't the actual orbs. Remember that video we've seen, you and I, we saw the video of the orbs that turned into gray aliens. Okay.
Hey, is that individual going to show that at that conference you're going to?
Yes, Matthew Dell will be there.
They're in for a treat.
We're both. Oh, sorry. We're both. Sorry. All right, Red. We have my knucklehead neighbors out there shooting off fireworks right now. Okay. My dog will not be at the UFO conference, by the way, but I'm speaking there. I'm giving it. Matthew and I are both presenting, and Matthew's going to be showing that video there at the conference, from what I understand. So, yeah, and I'm gonna talk about it too a little bit, because it puts some. I don't know. It clarifies a lot of what you and I research and what we're putting out to the public right now. And I know that the general public hasn't seen that video, but I not to say you won't. Okay, I'm going to have Matthew come on now that he's gone public. Hopefully, he'll come on my show and we'll show it to the world. Okay, hopefully.
Oh man, that'd be cool.
Yeah, I know.
Very rarely do I get just really stopped in my tracks. That would stop me in my tracks, straight up.
Me too. I couldn't stop thinking about it. Because we're trying to figure out, like, what are these orbs? And then we see a video of them shooting past the camera, landing on the ground. They didn't just land on the ground. They immediately turned into an alien.
Yes.
And then
they were fast.
Started running.
They were fast.
They were running.
And talk about odd movement. They had odd movements, did they not? Yeah.
Well, okay. Yeah. Well, that's okay. So that's what I'm saying with this ET, this in this video right here. Okay. It moves exactly like that mantis being that I saw in my bedroom that night. It moves exactly like that. That's why I'm looking at this video and people are like, oh, it's fake. It's fake. Well, I've seen one. Okay. And I didn't see its body or its face. It had a robe on. Okay. But I saw the shape of its hands. It looked exactly like that. And that's exactly how it moved. I'm just saying. And so if we could just factor in the things that we know, the things we've experienced with the things that we're being shown by the media and on TikTok and all these experiences that we're having, it all starts to kind of make more sense. Okay. This thing right here, this circle, what if this was an orb? What if the spacecraft was actually the aliens? Okay. Now I want to, and I know that sounds weird, but I want to go back and go over with the audience some of the remote viewing targets we've done in the past. Okay. And there's one that involved Russian soldiers being turned to stone by a UFO craft, a craft that exploded and let out, I think they shot a UFO craft down, Russian soldiers. And it was in the Ukraine. Okay. And when the thing landed, it crashed, some ETs came out of it, formed into an orb. And as they formed into an orb, a light shot out and it turned all of them to stone. Okay, so just remember that. Okay, and that's something that I remote viewed. I do believe that happened. There's actually a CIA document or some sort of document that was released. I didn't pull that up, but I meant to pull it up, but I don't have it here. There's some, like, was it the KGB or some kind of classified documents that were declassified about this, confirming that that did actually happen. Okay.
You know,
we just have to start putting these things together little by little, y'all.
You know, this makes me think of another video I've never released, and it's called UFOs and Stone Technology. And it's something that Tony Rodriguez and I got to talking about actually at that JRT conference. And I've seen something similar where there's technology that they're able to convert things into stone and energy into stone, stone into matter.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like something that not many civilizations can do, I don't think. It's one of the higher technologies. So when you start talking to that right there, you know, it makes you think of the legends of something like Medusa. You know, that's supposedly her eyes lit up right and turned people to stone. So I mean,
Yep,
it's things like
Medusa.
this we have to think of that are filtered out and put in our mythos.
Yeah.
Not the latest, not the longest living immortal, but you know, mythos.
Well, when you look into Medusa and people turning into stone, and we look into these petrified giants all over the world. Okay, these gigantic stone, they look like giants, mountain ranges, like mountains. They look like sleeping giants. We have giant trolls or whatever, just faces on the side of mountains. They look like humans, human faces. They look like gigantic animals, gigantic mushrooms, giant everything. The mesas look like giant tree stumps. Okay, how did they all petrify like that? How did they all turn to stone? Well, what if there was some sort of alien technology, just like that happened to those Russian soldiers, how they turned to stone? What if there's some sort of technology that did that at some point and turned all the giant, the Nephilim, or whatever you want to call them? What if that's what they were? I don't know.
When you start going far back to like the cycle before this one, 2 cycles before this one, when it was still maybe a type 2 civilization here, you've got these giants running around here that were infesting this planet. A lot of them are 25 feet tall or taller. Okay. And it's an interesting thing, you know, I've heard many times it's comedic information that it's said that these beings, which come from that we have it wrong, that these beings were not here to mine gold during that era, not that cycle. And actually they come from planets that are full of gold. Okay, monatomic type gold. And when they came here, you have civilizations of these beings live here on Earth, and you start dealing with their waste facilities, and that like their urine, that coming from their urine was high amounts of monatomic gold and things like that. And when they start dealing with their sewage facilities over time, start turning into rare mineral deposits here on this planet. That's been said. And you know, when you look that up at humans actually do have a very almost infinitesimal amount of gold in our urine. It's very fascinating. Look that up. You can actually Google that. So if you start thinking of beings that are 25 feet tall with a completely different biochemistry from one of these planets that's partially gold or something, you know, not Zechariah Sitchin's interpretation of those tablets is not the only one, and that's not all there was. That's not the only record. There was stuff that went on here cycles before those quote unquote Anunnaki came. I have a problem with that whole term, that how much that covers such a broad spectrum of extraterrestrials. So there's just things we got to throw out. You know, you mentioned X targets, all right, back targets. Another one that comes to my mind is Trappist 1. You know, another example of me getting more than what I bit off more what I could chew. You know, giving you these blind targets. And the first thing you're telling me is, you know, is this some city in the future? Where is it? I don't recognize the high rises is what you were saying, the high rises. And then the next thing is, what's with all the slavery? How can this be going on legally? I mean that, yeah. And so, you know, when dealing with that and what not just what Tony says, but also what the gentleman, oh gosh, he's a whistleblower. I did a video about him. I can't think of his name. He started talking about how much in the Milky Way slavery is a problem. You've got these other lower civilizations that are way more advanced than us, but they specialize in slavery. You know, and that's one of the problems in the Milky Way.
Oh, this is different. I was thinking this was Trappist, but this is these are the dwarf planets.
Oh, okay, that's another one.
Yeah, that's another one. Yeah,
you know that getting me more than what I thought. Now, that's from my experiences. The 3rd and 4th planets outside of Pluto which are actually called trans-Neptunian objects or dwarf planets. I was told the third and fourth are habited. They have bases on there that are used to jump off into our solar system because they have problems with the density here. That's an experience I had, as well as they showed me a portal. Not a portal, it's like a Stargate that exists outside of Jupiter, okay? And I've heard others talk about this since then. But this is a portal that connects directly to the other side is to the Andromeda Galaxy, like one of the Magellanic clouds there. And like they can get some of these beings, they were telling me they can come here without even having ships, but they have problems with the density. So a lot of them will come in those ships to protect themselves, you know.
Well, there are other targets also that I've done. I don't remember if you were on the show with me when I actually went over this, or maybe you were, but the Kentucky goblins too.
Oh yeah,
you did that. I think that you did this show with me, but this was from a UFO crash, right, Barry?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And what's interesting about that, because I remember first you picked up that they were interested in the children a lot. That's one of the reasons I gave you the other target about the Zimbabwe children and the other agencies that are working with children, because part of it is, I think this, when I first read that, it was like back in the early 80s when I first read that account, and that book I read of, it was very descriptive that it said those beings, when they first walked up, they saw this thing crash or whatever, but these beings first came up, they had on not these silver suits, but they had their hands up in the air. And that's generally a sign of
surrender,
non-aggression, but they're having problems. It's like technical difficulties. You picked that up in the data too. There was a technical problems with that craft, but as soon as they showed up, what happened? They got blasted on, like at every opportunity, and it knocked them down, but didn't kill them. They get off and run off. And then next they started trying to interact with the kids. So was it they were trying to snatch the kids, or were they trying to use them to communicate, because the children are the future? And that's why I gave you that task on the Zimbabwe kids, because, and that's one there that you got emotional on me. That one and the crop circles, the plasma balls for them. But I wanted to know what age, because I mentioned before, Zimbabwe children. One, they're not children anymore. One of them, Lisa Field, communicates with me. She's showing me a picture of her grandkids. That's back in the 90s. They're not kids anymore. But that's just one that we got really familiar with. But this book with Preston Dennett, it's a glaring story, Schoolyard Encounters, he goes over about 70 cases that are almost just as intense as that, type 2 and type 3 contact over these schoolyards. So I wanted to know, who is it that's doing that and cares so much about the kids and is intervening on some of these natural cataclysms that we have with this technology that masks itself as plasma balls and other things and UFOs. And in your answer, well, I had to deal with that.
The Galactic Federation?
Oh, I couldn't believe it. I mean, not that I have a problem with that organization or whatever, but it sounds so Star Trekky, and it just makes people laugh. And then, and I myself, when I finally got a name for the beings I'm dealing with, you remote viewed that too. You didn't know what that was, okay? But the name they gave me, I was 36 when I finally got a name, and I was like, man, you got to be kidding me! I'm gonna get laughed out of the world if I tell people. It was worse than the Galactic Federation. So it's stuff, but nonetheless, that's a real organization. You can't only laugh so far. Okay, you picked that up without even knowing what you're looking at and who or what, why. But the origin of those targets was the beings, the organization that was doing that, was behind that.
Yeah. Well, we've had all sorts of different I've been given all sorts of different targets. Okay, and usually I like the ones. I mean, I like all my targets. Okay, I think they're all fascinating. One that we had this past year were the face peelers down in Peru. Do you remember that one?
Yeah.
And that's not from a crashed UFO by any means, but I do vaguely remember that data seemed to point towards them being actual, like, ultra, or what do you call them, cryptoterrestrials, I think, like from here. And it's almost like they were kind of summoned or ordered to come out because it was time. Okay, it was like time to be seen now or something. It was really weird, right? That was some weird data for that one. And it was almost like there was some sort of weird government connection too, right? Some kind of agency or government. I don't know. And that's why I think that's like when I find out what these targets are, I get so suspicious. Because I just feel like There's so much that's being uncovered right now that has been hidden from us for so long, and there's an agenda, and it's all about control. Okay, controlling the narrative,
You know,
controlling us.
here's another cool one: the
Okay,
Phantom Islands. And you
yeah,
proved my theory on that. What I've always picked up, I kind of was told that encounter-wise, but not specifically. I could just see the rest, that those things are ships. They're coming from the inner Earth. They come up every 7 years because they have to recharge those solar magnetic crystals that are powering some of them, and they create that generate that mist. And that's why it's kind of like High Brazil sounds like Kong Island. Remember Kong Island? They didn't see all the time. It was surrounded in this mist. But that same mist, I think I mentioned it was on your show last time, that when they start converting this life energy for the anti-gravity fields and things out of this water, it actually creates the byproduct of it as a mist, a type of a fog. And they use that to create what appears to be a cloak. And that's why you see some of these things that look like, oh gosh, you want to say circulating clouds. I started skipping my mind right now. But another thing is when you get actually they look like UFOs, these ships, these clouds. I keep want to call them.
Oh yeah, they look kind
Serious.
of like
Those are not
that.
serious clouds.
Yeah.
They're yeah, but
I know what
and
you're talking
that
about.
right there looks a lot like the portal. That guy Jonathan Reed, that's that ship that he's got pictures of in the forest, except it's lighter, but it's the same formation as that thing there. And you see, you get some of these portals and these ships that are one and the same thing that may not all be orbs. They come from either universes or galaxies based on a different shape. You know,
Yeah.
it took me a long time to understand why this particular craft I was on, there were these eggs all in it. They looked like these glass eggs, these circular formations, different size in every room I was in there, with these lights in them and these different plasma things. And I thought they were maybe power sources at first, but they're not. Those are actually crew members in there, non-physical ones. And what I was seeing was actually a conduit from another universe to this one that's using actually our thing is based on the spin. So circular. It was from wherever they're coming from to here, and it was allowing them to be at least in the environment I was in that was halfway meeting these other beings. But those ones that were non-corporeal couldn't come out of those eggs. Very dangerous for them, even in the place of the ship I was in. Does that make sense?
Yes.
These are things we think of a lot, and then when dealing with these plasma balls that I gave you, another blind target, which was the Wiltshire, that's on my channel. You can see these 3 plasma balls making this crop circle. And part of it was I suspected that maybe I've heard before that they're also beyond free energy. They're markings for time travelers. There's a point in the future when we go to another container for our consciousness that is plasma based, high energy plasma. And that when they're coming back, because this is when genetics are different here. Oh, you got it right on.
Yeah. I didn't know that uploaded to the video, man. This is amazing. I just happened by accident, y'all. That's amazing. I didn't know I could do this.
Without saying, well, your pedigree got mad at me for saying. I said I don't think that they're coming from the earth. They're coming from the sky. That they go up and they come down. Do you
see how they're making? Look at it. It's like a GIF, right? Is that what you call these? A GIF? It's like you can see them starting to make the crop circle right there, and then it goes back. It just kind of keeps repeating itself.
Hey, what was? Remember, you started crying. What was the message you got during that?
Oh yeah, it was deep balls. That's funny. I got a message to humanity during that target, and it was. I mean, I think a lot of us can relate to this too, because it said, "We know you're tired. We know you don't want to be here. Okay, but don't give up. Don't stop. We're here. We're here to help. We're helping. You can't see us, but we're here. And thank you for your teamwork." They said thank you for your teamwork, and keep going. Okay, do not stop. Keep going. Basically, just don't give up. Okay.
See, that's beautiful. That's a great positive message. And on top of that, something else that the crop circles show, not just maybe possible free energy devices for our civilization, but also they're showing us how to combat the food shortage. And when you start looking at what actually happens to those stalks, the real ones, not the one pushed over by Dave and Doug or whoever, but the real ones, what they were found by Levingood, Dr. Levingood that passed, he actually proved that those are those bent stalks are exposed to not just high energy plasma, but a microwave too, high microwaves. And this caused something that's called an electron avalanche. And this electron avalanche winds up making the genes and the seeds that are exposed to this, like, produce double the amount of biofuel, double the amount of product, and highly resistant. Okay, so that is a whole nother thing that they're showing us there, but that's being totally overlooked. Sometimes we think we don't get any help here, but are we getting the help? And it's not recognized half the time, or it's covered up in these different ways. You know,
we're getting the help. We're getting the help. It's the behind the scenes help. Okay, and sometimes they bring messages through for people like myself to give. Okay, to the masses. You know, whoever's watching. Whoever's watching. It's all about the right people watching at the right time. Okay, that's what it is. Yeah, we also have our favorite alien mummy right there that we were hoping to bury.
No. Oh.
I want to leave that out tonight. Okay.
It's interesting. You know, you get things like that, and they might be, and they're there. But there was this place. Oh gosh, I think it was in Nevada. It's a long time. It was called the $1 Million Museum, and in there they had this exhibit that was this alien. Okay, and some people say it was some sort of a fetus. I don't think so. Okay, and something like that is somewhere near Roswell. I want to say this $1 Million Museum. People can look it up and see what the exhibit used to be in there. Some people try to change it around to look a little different and make it different than what it was. But the truth is, it looked like something that they had in there that's being one of the biggest thing is to hide things in plain sight. The obvious is always overlooked. That thing was right there for a long time. It was very trippy. Not saying for sure it was real, but it's worthy investigation. And what happened to that thing? That's another mystery. Everything from the $1 Million Museum. Anyway, so but I think maybe the likelihood that was more real than that thing we just saw there.
Yeah. I mean, the remote viewing data said that was a whole bunch of stuff mixed together. It was almost like animal bones or human bones. It was all meshed together, and they came out later saying that was real. Okay, but I don't buy that. I don't buy that. With all the ETs that are here and the ones that walk among us, why would they show that? It looks like a paper machine. Put together science project. Okay. No shade to whoever put this together, but I don't think that's real. I don't know. Maybe it is real.
No, I don't think so either, man. I'm sorry. It almost looks like a punchline. I mean, I don't know. I think more interested in that is the blind target I gave you, the Santilli video. That yielded more interesting results than that one, in my opinion, And that's one there. You saw both the reality part of it and the fake part of it, the people that try to recreate it. And people that didn't really do their research on that and see who the people that claimed to do that and the reproduction they made was nothing like what you saw in that original video. It was totally different. It looked similar, but it was not. It was obvious fake compared to the others. Something's wrong there, And I talked to somebody, a whistleblower, that had a bunch of knowledge that was part of the government, the Big Brother facilities. They had told me they thought that video was real, and they'd seen not that one, but other ones, that there were several videos like that of these beings being dissected, the ones that they could catch. So I mean, it's, and that takes us back to the first season. Somebody glanced over there, said something about the X-Files. That first season, especially the X-Files, I think was the best. They gave more secrets that one than some of the second season, but that first one, they were really hitting a lot of stuff,
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Tim Mothman said he thought that was a cake.
Dried out. I wouldn't want to eat that cake. They ever put a bunch of icing on that, man. That's a nasty looking cake.
I know. I mean, there's just so many more realistic things that could have been presented to the public. And so that just shows you right there. That was in the Hall of Congress or something in Mexico. Okay. It was in some kind of congressional hearing or whatever down in I guess it was in Mexico. Why would they show that of all the things? It just shows you it's almost like a joke. You know what I mean? To me, it just feels like a joke with some of this stuff. So I don't take everything as seriously as most people do, I guess, when it comes. And I used to work in government for almost 20 years. Okay.
Mhm.
So I've seen some weird stuff. Okay. But the fact that they would parade that out of all things, you know, it just, to me, it seems sus, and it feels like a joke sometimes.
Yeah, totally. But it's all
Yeah.
right because Dr. Greer stood behind that, right? That makes it okay. Anyway, that's what people tell you. I'm just letting you know, Anyway, so that's an interesting statement right there, and I wouldn't disagree with that statement you just put up there. When dealing with that, I don't want to take us too far off topic, but that's a very real statement. And when looking at that and like what they're calling right now engineered dreams and targeted dream incubation, that's one of the new videos I'll be showing soon. And it's very real technology and how they can actually tap into people through audio spotlight and other things and actually manipulate your dreams. Okay. And in that way you start getting people that think they're having dreams with other people. I had that dream too. This hive mind they're putting people in through brain to brain interface, brain to computer, advanced computer interface. That stuff is real, and they're controlling people's dreams. That's turning actually dreams into memories and memories into reality. That's a threat. It's way worse than just, they're manipulating people into buying certain stuff on Google. They're trying to actually map an artificial brain for Google. Do you know that? And they're using these things like that. So when you start looking at dream incubation, I like to look at some of these few companies that are actually transparent. And what's that one company? It's Dismio, I think, Dismio. Oh, it'll be on my video. But anyway, it's somebody that tells you right there they're engineering people's dreams, influencing their dreams. These are things that were just a joke back in the days of my favorite movie you always laugh at, Dreamscape. But but I mean, that's the stuff. I'm just saying that because when I start hearing some of these SSP people, no offense against them, all right, but some of them saying, there's two of me. And I tell you, and I've had a lot of clients now. I just got done with one of the most fascinating SSP clients ever. And they're not even claiming to be that, but it's the stuff they've been exposed to, pulled out of school, part of the TAG gifted program. And there's like 15 of them in there. They're testing these people, these kids. And out of that, 3 of them get to go to the Air Force base for special tutoring. And they're just thinking it's cool because they get out of school. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. And giving these kids certain screen memories, like put up in this deal, that the last one I did, I know how to identify screen memories and how to break through them. Like this one here was one that they gave the individual, the client, it was counting jelly beans in the jar. All 3 of these kids thought they were counting jelly beans in the jar, and they get to keep the jar, the person that gets closest to it. We all played that at the carnival or something. But in reality, what they were doing was giving these kids water that was specifically changed, meds that were changed. You know why, Jessica? It was to help them acclimate to the timeline jumping technology they were being exposed to, because they were being kept a day or two, but it appeared it was only a few hours. And this individual is describing this I took them deep. They were so deep that deep theta, it was not just the conscious mind giving a story. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And some of that stuff, as much of the stuff I hear, it blows me away to a point. And it's that's not the first one I've come like that. So I could take that and channel that back to these underground bases you're seeing all the time, these blind targets, a lot. I gave you the one over Eugene 99, the Rust virus, and you're talking about a laboratory. Is the origin of it was that target, and you're talking about a lab, okay? And that first showed its face, Eugene 99, the Rust virus. It goes back to biblical times, so it tells you that laboratory you were seeing was from biblical times, underground, advanced. Sorry, I don't want to repeat myself. I probably talked about this before, but it's stuff that all these things we've done, they do all tie together. Sadly, it's not It's not the Love and Light. It's not the Boy Scout Love and Light Squad, but it is what it is, you know.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, there's just so much that goes on that we're unaware of, and I think that I'm seeing things every day about like new technology that's out. I mean, they're talking about. I saw some videos talking about, what do you call it? I guess it's like people when you can either serve a 10-year prison sentence, or you can go get your brain reprogrammed now, and you can sit in a chair. They can hook you up to some electro thingy majiggies on your head, and you can serve your prison sentence right there within 10 minutes because they wipe
Man.
your brain. Okay. So,
See, you're laughing, but man, I know how many
it's true.
science fiction movies have been made over that. Even going to like, there was okay, obviously since I'm the '80s cat, I like Knight Rider. Okay, I was down with some Rider, but when they made a new like the Knight Rider 2000, the first movie they made with Hasselhoff, and that was the thing, they were taking criminals and doing a brain erase on them and putting them back into society. Okay, another one would be the Running Man. I think not the Running Man. It's a Schwarzenegger movie, Total Recall, right?
Oh,
They were
yeah.
doing something similar on that one. All right.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's an episode of Star Trek Deep Space Nine with the guy that plays O'Brien, Miles O'Brien, the engineer. He got on some planet and he got in trouble, and they put like a wine, not just a mind wipe, but they made him think he'd been in prison for like 25, 30 years. And he wound up killing the guy who'd been in his room with him all the time. They got into it over some food. They weren't getting fed, and he choked the guy out and killed him. So when he gets back, he thinks he served this. They tell him, you've only been gone 10 minutes or an hour or two, but he thought it was 25 years. He couldn't get over it. He thought he's a murderer. He killed this cat, to when he's even seeing this guy, popping up in his life because he can't forget murdering this guy. Stuff like that is real serious when dealing with these type of.
Yeah, well, I'm thinking of Jason Bourne, that whole series. I talked with, that was actually in my data on a target that I was given by our team, Raw. Okay, and it was about Jason Bourne. And I looked up the Jason Bourne series, and that was about a CIA agent that was like an assassin for the CIA, and his memory had been wiped. Okay, we watch movies like the Men in Black too, MIB, where they have that little stick, that nodule, and the pen, and they wipe your mind, they wipe your brain after you have an experience with an ET. Now, is it true or is it not, Barry? I don't know. What do you think about this? About a pact, some sort of contract was made back in the 1950s with the ETs to allow, with the United States government, to allow the ETs to start abducting our citizens for experimentation and stuff, but they could only take a small amount of us, is what they said. But they had to have their memories wiped before they're taken back into their homes or wherever they're taken from. Do you believe that? What do you think about that?
I think Laura Eisenhower goes in depth about that.
Okay.
So much has been done considering that, and these back projects and things. It's terrifying. I've had another client. This is somebody from my home state. Well, just a city away, okay? And this is not what we expect to be hearing that at all. But they described to me, and I've got them deep under, and they're describing, and it was just, this was a trauma release. But this trauma comes from being part of the Girl Scout crew, and then seeing kind of falling, asleep with everybody else, but not being able to sleep good, and kind of seeing this craft come over, a triangle, similar to TR-3B, a similar type one they described, but it was different with different lights, and seeing a light coming over the group, and then kind of falling asleep again and opened up, eyes back up on board this craft, looking at all of the people in their, what do you call it, a den or whatever, what do you call the like den, the Girl Scout cub or den or whatever you call it, everybody in the den, including the leaders, the adults, being worked on by these people, being experimented on these people, where they seem to be awake, but they're like in sleep paralysis, and they're being worked on, experimented on, and being walked around this place. And they described to me both type of Ebens or Greys, and also military. I've had somebody else that work deal all this stuff, and I pull it out, and it's all humans doing it. military slash government slash doctors and Stanford University, all these other what? You know, I mean, it's some of that stuff you can't make up, you know?
Okay, Barry, I was just doing some research because I was actually considering doing my show this past week on the Troop Herd Corridor. It's a place where I do some Bigfoot research, and there was a tablet found there. It's called the Hearn tablet. I don't know if people are familiar with that. Well, I'll probably do a show on it pretty soon, though. Okay, and it's an ancient Sumerian tablet that was found in a woman's garden down there where we do some of our research and stuff. So anyways, it's called the Troop Herd Corridor because there's an author who did a bunch of research on alien abductions on that area. So he's the one that coined that term, the Troop Herd Corridor. It's an area that goes through middle Georgia into Alabama. Okay, and lots of mass alien abductions. But the people were reporting that during their abductions, because he interviewed a lot of them, during their abductions, it was a mix of ETs and U.S. military. Okay, so they were experiencing, and we have an Army base right there. We have the Fort Benning is in that area. That is actually where the Army Rangers and everybody, they go to like airborne school. Okay, so they're flying planes out of there. No telling what else they're doing.
I think taking this and combine it with Pauletti's 411 UFO connection. He's got the gentleman that saw that. It sounds like some type of an advanced drone that picked up that cow and took it off and ran into the mountain. That had to go, or ran into the tree or something, had to go around it. Yeah, I mean stuff like that. That's these type of projects we're talking about right there. And how many times those things have picked up people missing 411 other things and they get dropped. Like he said on there, they just get dropped. They don't get beamed back like they get beamed up. They just get dropped. You know, sometimes in bodies of water with 25 times the GHB you get in a club. That's, that stuff is sinister, So
I hope people aren't doing GHB in clubs. That's weird, but I guess they are. I think that's a naturally occurring chemical in our bodies, though, right? It's just like super high levels.
Super high level. Enough to make people start blacking out for the date rape. They call it the date rape drug.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, but what they had in their blood system was like, they were saying 25 or 30 times the amount you could get at a club. Where in the heck do you get that just out there? Like, well, we know now. You saw that. What that is, even to the point of there being underwater submarine passageways. The stuff you were coming up with there, I know, and I want to apologize too, because I try never to really give you dangerous targets, but that one was necessary and it kind of wore you out. And I know I was kind of on you, like, what is it more before I would even reveal what it was? You looked at it a lot of times, so it might have put you under more stress, and I apologize for that. That was not my intention. But that's why I normally try to do like more easygoing stuff. Crop circles are a lot easier than missing 411. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I actually became visibly sick. Like you guys can see, I had to wear glasses for like a week or two after that because I've got like eye infections and like I was exhausted. I mean, it really does a number on my body when I remote view stuff that serious. Okay, it's that like that, and that's why I try not to do. I mean, remote viewing is a lot. Okay, it's a lot, and I'm not kidding when I say like it takes a lot out of me to remote view. But it's when I get targets like that. I don't often get high priority targets. That would have been considered kind of a high priority target because that's a lot. Okay, a lot of missing people. I mean, but I am tasked with like missing persons cases, and I don't get sick like that. But I was visibly,
I
for about a week. Yeah.
I see how many people have a problem with David Pauletti's. Look, that's their business, but a lot of people call him a fraud. I saw that in there. Well, prove it. You should go and interview all the people he had and show that everything he's saying is completely incorrect. Not just because somebody saw a video on YouTube and said that. Really, there needs to be some research. That man's got a lot of research he's done when you look at all those books. I've not read all of them, but I've checked out a couple of them. That's a lot of details that should easily be proven lies, everything he's saying, and then debunk the man. Because I see he doesn't obviously respond good to people criticizing him. He's worse than us, man. That kind of take it good at all, man. So if he needs to be disproved, disprove him. Don't just say that. Prove it. Show the evidence, because people need to know. I'll listen. You know what I mean? Here's
the thing, though. He's brought attention, no matter what anybody thinks about him. I mean, I respect his research. No matter what, he brought the attention of all these people going missing out of our national parks. Like, how important is that? And so to criticize him is to criticize that, and I think that's wrong. Okay, we should. I'm not saying don't criticize people, but I'm just saying, like, look at, if it weren't for him and his research, we would not know the enormity of what's really going on out there.
Exactly.
Okay.
And to be honest, I'm disappointed about the DNA stuff that he hasn't given, the Bigfoot DNA, but everything he brings substantially about Bigfoot being more human, and the stuff that came out before Bigfoot was called Bigfoot, that's that's important. He showed a lot of stuff on that. And I think that's good research. You know what I mean? I don't consider that a fake, or the time he stayed with the Hoopa. Now, they don't talk to just everybody, so I think that those are things need to be commended, I think. But these communities are so much destroying each other, attacking. You know what I mean? I just did a video over the rewriting and hijacking of the contactee narrative. It was not popular with some people, okay? But nonetheless, it's fact. When you have somebody like Ray Hernandez telling you that such and such tried to buy my research to rewrite it or to suppress certain things of the narrative. I mean, that's real. You can't just make that up. You know what I mean? Or these people like my friend that's on that video, Susan Manwood. She's one of those people that's a contactee. She dealt with Dr. John Mack and helped create that institute or something. She was involved in that institution he did. But she talks about when she was younger being taken out of school. See, one of these things, this happens to a lot of people. It's not just junk, not just the XSP people saying that. This is a real way they track contactees. They try to get some bodies to incarnate that are more fitting for abilities, but then they can't control the souls that incarnate into them. Okay, this is natural stuff that they're doing in family lines and bloodlines. It's too bad. You know what I mean? And I say that because from being from their capital, I was having these crazy experiences. I make sure it wasn't Big Brother getting me, especially when I started hearing things from like Dr. Carla Turner, if you know who that is. She had the first book from her I read was Fringe, and then Masquerading Angels. And then she died. And she had just horrible experiences, about as worse as it can get concerning virtual reality scenario technology. And I've been exposed to that in some of my experiences. And more than that, I've been around beings that can, through their optical nerves and consciously to us, actually generate a false environment, okay? And make you feel all blissed out. So you got to be careful, not that these were negative beings, but it's just some of it is a natural product of their biofield, of their conscious level, of their vibrational density frequency, especially you're dealing with cats that come from solar system and galaxy dimensions that are, millions of years older than us for all we know. It's a whole other thing going on.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, we're people are in the chat talking about all the missing people and stuff. And I mean, there was just a guy I was watching last night that followed a U-Haul truck around Atlanta until the police got there. He called the police. They were trafficking children and stuff in Atlanta. Okay, so it was a U-Haul full of kids. All right, so the missing persons thing is very real. Okay, it's very real, and too many children are going missing, and that's one of my main missions here is to expose it. Kind of. I mean, I worked with a group called Street Grace when I was working with the state, and we were exposing and looking into and alarming everybody on the trafficking of children. Okay, here and it's mostly children. Especially here around Atlanta and stuff. So it's a real thing. And yes, we do have the missing people in the park. So Javier, you're absolutely right. It's not just missing people in national parks. Millions of people go missing all the time. Okay, so yeah, and I think some of these targets that we do. Okay, some of the targets I think that they do involve like where these people are going missing. Okay, like what's happening to them. And that's why I go deep with all this cryptid stuff too. Barry, we go deep with the UFOs. I mean, I've heard stories about people being trafficked in UFOs. Okay, it sounds weird, but I mean, I've heard it. That some agency is using like UFO type craft to kidnap people and stuff. Okay, so
I think that's been going on for a long time. And you've got these programs. I mean, heck, Richard Dreyfuss showed us that. They've been talking about that for a long time. They make like that was a consensual program, but not all of them are. Or is it a situation like what's that Twilight Zone, the cookbook, to serve men? Yeah, to serve man. Yeah, they got to get off that. Don't go on that ship. We've deciphered the book. It's a cookbook. You know, that's I'm sorry, that's a great one. That's an oldie but a goodie. You know what I mean? Or, you know, some things like I think what was said in The Day the Earth Stood Still, the original one, you know, he told him, he said, you know, we're from advanced, like almost a Federation type of a thing, and all the planets are in it. And basically we have a robot force, police force. And if you draw their attention by any type of a heinous action, which you would never want to think, their punishment is not even conceivable. Yeah. So, I mean, and that was that robot that was there, what, Gork was his name? He kind of just stood there the whole time until dude got fired on. And then he started evaporating what tanks and stuff. But food for thought when he started dealing with galactic citizenship, is that part of what's wrong with the Milky Way? You've got these rogue agencies that are doing the slavery when you got a lot of other galaxies not like that. I mean, it's really starting to be food for thought, you know, what is and what isn't when it comes to galactic law. And somebody in there mentioned the divine. I swear to you, the divine field is real. It's very real. And some of us have to stay in line with it. If not, you know what I mean? Some of these heinous people that we've dealt with that, you know, are not dealing with the divine field. If I did the stuff that's been done to me, or even some stuff that's been done to you, I'd fall out of grace just like that. No more information coming through. No more star being information. None of that stuff at all. They'll turn their back on me quick. See, so these people that are crapping on people, that are telling you, oh, all this information, that stuff, be careful. Use your discernment. There's such a thing as, what's that saying? Outwardly, they look like sheep, but inside they're rabid wolves, something like that. It's real, you know. Anyway,
it's very real.
Just concerning, but I think the targets in this, it brings things together kind of interesting, you know, and the fact that we've got the demonic situation on this Las Vegas thing, and there's so much connection between people say, what is extraterrestrial alien and what is demon or demon aliens? Not all of them are, but you get that crossover. And you've got those ones that are conjured up from the land too, like Dennis says, and all these other things. But, you know, on this planet, it's very evil like roams around even. You ever notice that? You know, and it's just always affecting things and moving around in these horrible way. And, you know, this way that, okay, so this way that they're using something else, another one of these targets. All right, real quick. I don't want to get too carried away, getting all excited, starting to go like that. Okay, so there's those dwarf planets. You know, that's another one I got more than what I bid for. I wanted you to see the bases. And then you started talking about, well, you mentioned the bases, you described those installations, but then you start talking about watching the time bomb. And that's Earth. You're talking about Earth. And then you start talking about the frequency. You use the exact word scalar frequencies. And that's dealing with this frequency that insectoid, Yandar told me when we come in here, we get shocked by there's electrical shock that goes to our soul energy, the orgone part of it, that aids us in our loss of memory, soul life memories, but also inhibits our psychic abilities when we incarnate here. And that field of energy is blanketed Earth. It goes from Saturn. Saturn looks like an antenna. It goes from Saturn over to the side of Sidonia, to the dark side of the moon, to Earth, and especially some of the sacred sites here. So that's, you know, that's really food for thought, especially when you start dealing with things like how really, like what our friend Jock Doubleday talks about, how a solar system is engineered, how planets are engineered. You know, it's real interesting. It's taking down the rabbit hole, but some of it is good awareness, you know.
Oh yeah, we love rabbit holes over here, don't we? I love a good rabbit hole because we jump down on every single episode on this channel. We're down some kind of rabbit hole, and tonight was no different. And it was really cool that we went back and revisited some of these old targets too, because it's kind of connecting all the dots. Okay, it's connecting the dots, and trying to make sense of all this. Trying to make sense of it, but overall. Okay, but overall, I know we've got some wild comments tonight. This has been a lot of fun, though. Okay, a lot of fun, and yeah, overall, Barry, what do you think about this target for tonight. Like, what are your final thoughts? Okay, on the Las Vegas backyard alien. Do you think it was really an alien, or do you think it was something different?
I think it was demons. I think it was demonic. I think that the ship we saw is some type of a portal / organic maybe type of craft or something, but I think it's more of a portal these things are using. I think that maybe they could be connected to that base there somehow, and I think it's demonic still, whether connected or not. All right, and I think it brings us into the part of how many of these types of praying mantis are negative energy. Are the ones like you saw, the Grim Reaper?
Grim
Are they
Reaper.
all? Are they negatives? You know what I mean? Yeah. So I mean, I think that's good food for thought, because it crosses us into this mantid thing too, insectoid kind of. Whether it be the dark one with the with the double knees and jointed knees, like from Arrival, those beings, or it be the one in the grass you were showing that moved like the one you said. Now, what are the odds of that they could do that being just happens to move like the one you saw? Either, like you said, either somebody knew really how to fake it, or they know something, have experienced something, you know?
Absolutely. I mean, they either knew how to fake it really well, or that's real. I mean, I don't care. I never got full confirmation if that was really AI or not. But it's, when you watch the video, it moves exactly like what I saw in my room. Okay, exactly. Now, I had a robe on, so I couldn't see its actual face. Okay, but that's what it, and it looks like a praying mantis kind of. It's the hands, Barry. The hands 100% look exactly like what I saw right here. Okay, that hand, this hand. Okay, that's what I saw right there.
And, you know, to me, that looks like an experiment. It looks like an abomination and something they could make in one of these labs. How many type of chimeras, as you say, have you seen now? I mean, it's almost endless, isn't it?
Yeah, a lot. Yeah, a lot. Yeah, it's interesting. Maybe we should do a remote viewing target of just that thing right there one day. Okay, just that one thing. I'm just saying, I don't know if that's real or not.
Man, you got a serious audience, man. Your audience are tearing some people up, man. Whoa! Oh, I'm glad it's not me. Thanks.
I know, that's why I said don't look. Don't look. We got a show to run over here. Okay.
Oh,
all right, Juan. You better be nice, buddy.
It's interesting, you know. So, and I can't fault them for being suspect of people who are got the hugest platforms. I can't blame them for that. You know what I mean?
That's true. Yeah. Yeah. Well, people with bigger platforms, you got to wonder, how are they not like shadow banned like some of us? You know?
But they'll tell you that YouTube took it down. YouTube will take it down. They're not taking that stuff down themselves, half of them. And look, you can track their numbers. How the numbers they're being shadow banned, but the numbers are going up. Their subscriber count is going up. That's come on. When you do that, you get things like my channel. You go back, 7-8 years, I'm getting 10, 12,000 views. Look at it now. I'm lucky if I get a few hundred. So that's the real deal. Now it might be my material sucks, but it's a little more than that. It's some sort of algorithm, People telling me I watched it several times in our house and it's not registering on the view count. I don't know. I just keep going forward. They're trying to silence all of us. So.
It is, but hey, listen, I may get 1 or 2 likes on all my social media posts, but I'm still putting it out there. I don't care. I know people see it, but not everybody likes everything. You know what I mean? So just don't, y'all, that's like that message I got, like, don't stop, like, don't give up. Put it in everybody's faces all the time. Okay, whatever you're here to talk about, keep talking about it. Don't keep quiet. Now's the time to talk. Now's the time to put our information out there. Now's the time to expose whatever we're exposing. Okay. And to go out and just shine your light. Okay, don't stop just because nobody's liking your posts and stuff. I mean, man, if y'all gone to my Twitter, nobody likes my Twitter, by the way. I get like 1 or 2 hearts.
You mean X?
And I keep posting. Yeah, whatever it is. Like, you know what? I keep considering, like, man, should I just shut all this down because nobody's liking my stuff? Okay, is it a waste of time or no? I don't know.
No, it's not a waste of time. But I'm gonna tell you what it is. Is you've got like, we talk about demons and demonic forces. You've got one over this whole electronic things. Entities getting electronics all the time. And there is one, I'm convinced, that is specifically over views and likes. On the Facebook thing, on the YouTube thing, and what it does is it gets our energy fields entwined with each other, and you get hurt real easy, be sensitive. You know what I mean? And it's just one of those things. Yeah, that's what that is, man. It's some sort of a demon over likes. You know what I mean? And over that whole thing, and so kind of like I was mentioning earlier, talking to somebody else, but I was mentioning about how when you have an earthbound spirit and that they don't have a physical brain anymore, but their consciousness is still trying to identify different energy fields the same as our physical brain does. Okay. And then that starts leading to a type of darkness they're describing, a type of confusion, AKA lost souls. Okay. And I can tell you that, having dealt with a lot of them. This is the data. Unlike you, I like data. And that's what the data shows, quite a bit. So I think that's, food for thought on that, definitely. But more than that, a little bit more reality. So keep doing what you're doing. You're helping a lot of people. You're touching a lot of people, and a lot of people are watching you and stealing from you. I'm sorry, I just came across my thing the other day. You do a show, and then somebody else is doing the exact same thing, like a week or two later. I look on their little deal. There's nothing about that at all. So that's
actually,
not. Sometimes they say
that happened this past week. Somebody took my show and did the same show the next morning. I was like, "What are you doing?" Yeah. But at least they credited me. It's okay. It's okay.
Well,
I have no shade. No shade.
What they say? Copying an imitation is the greatest flattering. So maybe that's what it is. You know what I mean? Okay. But nonetheless, you do good work. Like I've always said a bunch of times, I never wanted to work with anybody again. I've been burned a few times, and I don't like it, man. I don't like people trying to punk me. I don't take that crap. And then some people do it and they get away and run off in the crowd and be in another country or something. You know what I mean? But the truth is that we've done really good work, and a lot of it, and I'm just one of many people you're working with. You're doing great stuff with Dennis and the one cat and that other cat, can't remember their names, but they're cool people.
Everybody's cool. Yeah, everybody's cool.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So that's something to be proud of. And you do a lot of it. You're doing a large amount of work, not just a video every now and again. You're doing a lot of it. And your numbers are growing. They're going to keep growing. So you should be proud of that, And it's not easy work. You do it because it's fun and it's interesting, and that makes it worthwhile. You're a genuine person. I appreciate that. That's why I continue to work.
Well, thank you. Well, I appreciate that. That's sweet. Everybody, y'all are awesome, and I do it for the people. Okay, I do it for the people. I do it for myself too because it's fun. Okay, it keeps me busy. It keeps you busy too, Barry, doesn't it? Keeps both of us busy.
Yeah. I was the same way. I want to jump out of it once or twice too, and then spirit won't let me when I try to get out of it. And then I was at that point when you met me in person. I was done. That was the last conference I was going to do. It's the last time I was going to speak. I just had it. I mean, not to where I was. I'm like, I'm not going to let this thing turn me dark. To quote Highlander, the dark quickening. I won't go take no dark quickening, which means, these people that we know that get bit by the fame bug, they want to be famous. They need those clicks. They need those likes. Okay, but that's all they care about. Some of them even care about that more than they do having a bunch of money. Somebody told me, they said, man, I want to be a household name. I looked at him, I said, man, like Christopher Reeve? They said, yeah, man, just like that, B, like Christopher Reeve. Okay, man, I got you. You want to be Superman, literally. Somebody in the community, they're not kidding. I guess somebody keeps some kryptonite on me. Or is it moldavite? They look about the same. Anyway.
No. Thank you, Damien. That's very sweet. I appreciate it.
I look kind of smart on cyberspace, but you meet me in person, you probably go, man, that guy sucks. You ask me a question. Don't know.
You don't suck. No. You don't suck, Barry. You're pretty fun in person, man. I always have a good time hanging out with you.
Well, I think you're a lot like me at those conferences, the ones we've done. I like to talk to everybody if I can. You know what I mean? That's what it's all about. You got a lot of people that have so great experiences and abilities. They just want to be heard. And the one place you can go is a conference and get heard. And I think it's the speaker's job to listen as much as they get up there and present, my opinion.
Sure.
Especially when people are spending that much money. It's just a shame that the conferences aren't more affordable that just normal people can get there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that'll happen one day, I'm sure one day.
Yeah, speaking of which, I'm going to be at the World UFO Conference this weekend. I'm going to talk about some of the stuff that you and I have talked about tonight. at that conference. I'm actually going to start putting my presentation together tonight. So last minute, I'm going to work on that all day tomorrow. But that's going to be up there. And I've had a couple people reach out that I have never met before in person, but people that watch the shows that are going to be up there to come meet me and come here and everybody. Yeah,
isn't that neat? That's
totally.
neat.
Yeah, for sure. It's really cool. So it's very humbling too, you know, and I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart because I think it's important that we exchange our energy and meet in person sometimes and really get to know like-minded people. Okay. And we also activate each other when we meet in person. And we got Aurora in here. Hey, Cassandra.
What's up?
Yeah, we hang out with her sometimes. You know, we've all hung out, and we do. It's different. There's a synergy about it. Okay, when you get to meet people in person, and it's so important right now. Okay, so I'll be seeing some of y'all at that conference this weekend, hopefully.
She's a prime example. I met her at a couple of these conferences, and like people, her, Matthew Morning, and you have all these people that are contactees, you know what I mean? And it proves what I've been saying since I first came forward and got laughed at. I said, I think really around 80% of our population, between 70 and 80% of our population is contactees, and they're just unaware of it, experiencers. It happens in the dream state and all these different ways that we kind of miss, you know what I mean? And so far on the platform I've been given, everything has showed that, you know. So you have people like that are going through there, you know. Her and Matthew do a lot of work with talking about Carlos Castaneda. So I appreciate that. You know, his books when I was in junior high changed my life, more or less, up to about The Art of Dreaming. And then after that, he started kind of getting weird. They're not a Bible or nothing, but they're another good tool. Keys of Enoch, another good tool. You know what I mean? You just have these books, and there can be tools. Teach you about things about perception and awareness. And that does mean something. In fact, it's all it is. This is all about consciousness.
Everything is consciousness, right, Barry? It's all about consciousness. So, yeah, we are super conscious beings. Everybody that's watching tonight, everybody who's listening, and everybody who's watching. Period. No matter what time you're watching this. And I appreciate each and every one of y'all. I know we've had a pretty heated chat tonight. I've been watching. Juan, you better calm your butt down. I love you, but you better calm down. I'm just kidding. That's very sweet. We've had some very sweet comments and compliments tonight, and it's all a good fun, man. I'm having a great time watching you guys chat back.
I hope I didn't step on anybody's toes like I did last time with the Bigfoot stuff. But I kind of went a little left on somebody earlier. I apologize to anybody else if I've offended them. But you know, sometimes I try to keep it real, not straight hitter, man. I don't. You know, I'm sorry. I'm not that guy that goes behind somebody's back and it talks crap. That's the problem in these communities. You need to say stuff, confront, and talk up front. You know what I mean? Don't go around and talk about people behind their back or go to the chat after the video's done and talk crap. That's weak, man. Don't do it.
Oh God. Yeah, I've heard people doing that about me before, and it's okay. I don't mind. I forgive them. It's fine.
I don't. I think
it's no sweat off my back or whatever that saying is.
Hey, official Gray, little thumbs down.
Oh my God, you're hilarious. Yeah. Man, this is fun. I'm glad we had a pretty good time tonight. I mean, this was a really a strange target. Ultimately, it's pretty strange. It turned out to be more kind of like on the interdimensional demonic side. With this one. So, in a nutshell, if we were to do an overview of this for just final thoughts, I think that this was not an actual ET. But then we get into, if you want to go down that rabbit hole of ETs being demons. Okay, we got that too. We didn't really even cover that too much tonight. But in this case, it was more of a kind of demonic feeling, for this remote viewing target. So, but great target, Barry. Thank you so much for being here with me tonight.
Thank you for having me.
And yeah, this is always fun. We always have a good time.
I think when dealing with that demonic, whether it be extraterrestrial, interdimensional, whatever, it ties to the lower civilizations. Some of them may be, hundreds of years more advanced than us, but that doesn't mean they're not dark. And they're not dealing with these things, slavery, body parts, all these different things like that. That's come up too, right? Remember harvesting of body parts? What was that? The old Green Eyes? He falls into that, which kind of fell into that galactic trade of body parts that we heard about from Dogman that I'd heard. So it's things like that we have to realize that demonic, it can come in all forces. To me, if it's dark, it's just dark. I don't like it. I don't care if it comes from other dimensions, other universes, other planets, or here on terra firma. I don't like it. So
Yeah. Well, there's a whole lot of interdimensional stuff going on right now, and I'm becoming a firm believer that all the aliens that we're seeing are coming through portals, and they're not even from outer space.
you know,
That's
I
what I
was just
think.
watching, I was just watching the newest episode of Skinwalker Ranch, and that's getting pretty interesting because I know right now Corey Good and the Ascetti Ranch, James Gilliland, are doing this. They're trying to compete with the Skinwalker Ranch series, but that'll be hard. The Skinwalker, they got a lot of equipment out there, and that last one I saw last night, actually, they were showing actually at what's called the Cave of Art, the Cave of it's these walls full of petrographs, Native American petrographs, the Cave of it's on the last episode of Skinwalker Ranch, and that guy went there, and I think you met that guy, Jonathan Dover. Did you meet him?
No, I have not met him. I don't
Okay,
think.
he was with them and doing some interpretation and everything. They were finding with the equipment these, there's certain ones that you'll see. I've done some videos on ancient cave paintings, and they have the circle thing that looks like a Mako. Okay, and they're saying it's a portal, and they're actually looking on these rocks, and these portals, these signs are actually glowing hot, much more than the environment. And then they bring in a Native American group, and they start drumming, and they get hotter, and the ambient temperature around changes as well. It's very interesting. Look that one out. So they're dealing with frequency, vibration, and other things to open these portals. And you start looking at like those ancient cave paintings, you can see, and petroglyphs too. Excuse me, petrographs. Oh, sorry, Mom.
Petroglyphs.
Getting tired of slipping on
Petroglyphs.
pronunciation. Like our friend that got barbecued on that video today, he was mispronouncing words, but that scientist tore him up. Anyway, but you're seeing though that are actually entities and beings that are holding these portals in their hands. They're controlling these portals. That's something that was done in the past a lot. And I'm going to do probably. I cannot do any more videos now after this one, but there's MK Davis, your buddy, just did several videos on the Paul Freeman footage. And on there, he starts showing, there's a point in that footage where he starts going, oh, whoa, Paul Freeman does. It's these flashes of light. And this bush moving for no reason at all, without wind or anything. It's this, and what you're seeing is taking that, and I think contrasting that with Ron Moorhead and what he's saying about quantum Bigfoot. What is it that these beings are doing to create these portals? Just like Skinwalker Ranch on the walls there, these signs, you've got them generating more heat. You've got this Bigfoot is generating some type of a heat that's causing that disturbance. Okay? And that's showing you something. These heat is connected to the portals one way or another. And to think that Sasquatch doesn't have the ability to do that when you've had humans that can do it, manipulate portals, is not realistic. You know what I mean? And I know because nobody wants to put any woo-woo with Sasquatch, but you got to deal with that.
I do. I've experienced that. Okay, my whole team has. A lot of high strangeness going on with the Sasquatch phenomenon. Okay, with all this phenomenon. So wow, I mean that's something to look into. I mean it could be radiation too. I mean I think portals emit radiation, and it could be that that's what the heat is. It could be that radiation, but
or combination, and like that door, it's sound too. I have 3 siblings, and I often get asked privately, have any of your siblings had encounters like you? One has, they're different than mine. The others 2 have not. All right, but the one that has is also a musician, and when they started dealing with him, they did it through music. His encounters through music and through virtual reality scenarios that put him somewhere where he was dealing with musicians and certain musical instruments you cannot get here on planet Earth. And it was things that would like operate on something like, they say between like the bands of Earth, between there's these sounds that come out. I can't remember what they're called. And there's also a thing called a theremin that's almost like a musical. It's an instrument that generates sound very odd, the theremin. And the way that runs and the way this type of a sound they talk about that's within the atmosphere, it's very interesting. He's been exposed to that, some type of a device that was playing that and making songs with that and lighting up before he realized what was actually going on, But him was just these cool musicians that look like brothers with red hair, mixed guys with red hair. Yeah. He's very, and he also, unlike me, he astral projects all the time. I had to work to even do that. You know what I mean? But him, it happens involuntarily. So just, things like that, when we have siblings, it's interesting.
Oh, yeah. Well, there's a video out of that one gentleman who's in the woods and he starts doing throat singing. And he's making these low guttural frequencies with his voice. And something opens up. It's like it opens up a portal behind him. And like there's weird creatures that start peeking out from behind the trees. It looks like Bigfoot. And God, Lord knows what. I don't know. It could have been pill crawlers and whatever, but it's not natural. Not natural in our human reality sense that we have here. But it's just like people say with, I know, talk about using like shofars and things like that to summon. They say summon the Bigfoots and the dogmen.
Well,
I think that's very smart. Okay.
Well, the Pork and Beans cats say you play something out there and it brings them in, right? You like, so was it Led Zeppelin or something like that?
It's just what you do. I mean, you can play anything. Any kind of like drum circles will attract them. Didgeridoos. I mean, you name it. Flutes, guitars, whatever. I'm sure any kind of music will attract Bigfoots in. I think. I mean, just acting crazy and having fun will attract them in, But I think it's different. I think that there are certain instruments that hit those frequencies that open portals. That's the truth. That's the truth. I know it.
And we know one thing: they've got the vocals to do it too. If it's sound, anything that can yell between mountain ranges can always do a lot of.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. So there's a whole lot. We could take another rabbit hole dive tonight, but I think this has been fantastic. And I got to get ready for that UFO conference now. Okay, I like jump from one thing to the next. As soon as I log off tonight, I'm going straight into the UFO mode. Okay, with that conference. So, Barry, where can people find you? What do you have going on right now? Tell the audience about your YouTube channel and your Patreon.
I'm on YouTube under Barry Littleton. I'm on Patreon, Barry Littleton. I do a little bit of stuff on Facebook sometimes, Barry Littleton. On Instagram under Barry Littleton. Need to get better with Instagram. I don't really understand that system much. I just found a bunch of messages today that I'd never seen before, and some of them are like weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks old. So I feel bad. So I'll try to respond to people. My email is barrylittleton1313@gmail.com. And that's the main things there. barrylittleton.com is my website, but I don't do anything on there. It's in need of upgrade bad.
Nice. But you do have a fantastic YouTube channel, you guys. Barry he has so much information, and it is readily available right there on his YouTube channel. But he's got even more on his Patreon. So you guys, please go become a member of Barry's Patreon too. Okay, and you provide services too, Barry. Right? You do some aggressive hypnotherapy and things like that.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mention that. Thanks. That's why I give out my email. I do hypnosis. I do readings too, but I do a lot of hypnosis too. Past life readings, ET contact, spirit release. I do a lot of earthbound spirit release, and also just trauma release too. A little weight loss too, smoking, those things. So you can hit me in my email, and I'll probably respond back pretty quick.
Awesome. Yeah, you guys hit up Barry, of course. Of course, we gotta promote a little bit here. Okay, you deserve it. And so I want to thank you, Barry, so much for being here, and thank you for being my co-pilot tonight on this crazy ride down the rabbit hole that we went on.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Of course, yeah, yeah. You guys, I'm trying to think. What I guess come back Saturday night. I do have a show. I'm supposed to have my friend Tony Green come on Saturday night. Okay, he's one of my teammates. He's the gentleman that his uncle ran from the cops, ran behind the tree, and came out a wolf on the other side of the tree. Okay, so if Tony can't be here, I think Harley Owens might be here. I'm gonna find out though. I'm gonna have a really good show Saturday night though. So y'all come back and see me. And I am doing a Dogman expedition this coming week. I may not be at Space Out Radio Sunday night. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to be there or not. Depends on when the trip happens and stuff. But I do have I am going to be doing some field research here the next week too. So yeah, y'all wish me luck on that. You'll know if I make it back. I'll be back for a show next week at some point. Okay, but yeah, super dangerous times ahead. And I can't wait. It's going to be awesome. Okay, so
Roni and Avina, they commented. Thank you very much. Super nice to say. Thank you. Much appreciation. Sorry to interrupt you.
Oh.
Just want to acknowledge that. That was really nice.
Oh, there we go. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, we got a lot of people binging your videos. I've seen a couple of comments tonight. People that have subscribed to your channel too, even tonight.
Oh, thank you. That's really nice. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Thanks.
Absolutely.
A little bit. Please go to the playlist. There's a lot more on there that it seems like, but go to the playlist, more stuff pops up. There's about 340 on there or so.
Oh yeah, totally. And Jane's in here. Jane had a session with you too. So thank you, Jane.
Hey,
you got 5-star reviews already. Okay, over here.
That was a good session. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's awesome.
No matter how many of them I do, I get blown away every time. You know what I mean? I'll be feeling brand new.
That's great. That's great. That's awesome. Well, I love you guys too. I see everybody in the chat. Thank y'all so much for being here tonight. And please come back and see me this Saturday night. I will be live here on the hunt. Okay, we're going on the hunt for something spooky. Okay. And Barry, thank you again for being here. Please come back and hang out with me again soon. And you guys go and subscribe to Barry over on YouTube and on Patreon. All right, y'all. Come see me this Friday. Okay, or not Friday. Golly, Saturday during the day. Like I said, I'll be here live on Saturday night back, but during the day on Saturday, I'll be at the World UFO Conference giving a presentation. All right, y'all. Barry, have a wonderful night. You guys stay safe out there. Keep your head on a swivel. Lock your doors. All right, I'll see y'all Saturday. Bye.